Alright, welcome to Thunder Tap TV. I'm Jeremy. I'm going to be playing a new game. Well, the game is not necessarily new, but as far as our page, it's new. Magic 2014. The fourth game on Xbox Arcade. They came out with Duels of the Planeswalkers, and then has put out Duels of the Planeswalker 2011, 12, 13. And now 14. So basically the idea is it's Magic the Gathering on Xbox. Although there's something to be said for it. The previous incarnations would generally use a wider selection of the cards than what is currently viable in Standard, which, if you don't know, Standard is the current expansions that are legal to be able to play in tournament play. Now there's other formats that allow a broader card base, but for the most part Standard is a fairly limited amount of cards, and Duels had a fairly limited amount of cards, but it wasn't directly tied to Standard. This is the first time that it is significantly tied to Standard. Now there are cards that are not in Standard, but it's some of the most, and the sealed play, which is what I'm about to do, is primarily sealed cards. Now there are some cards that don't pit in or do pit in. My best guess is to affect deck balance. Certain cards that are in Standard right now would break a lot of what you could do in these decks, and also it allows you a little bit more flexibility on what the decks can do by adding a few extra cards here or there, especially mana ramp abilities and things like that. So let's get right into this. Create a deck. Alright, let's open the first booster. Alright, looks like our rare is Protein Hydra. Pretty good card. Young Pyromancer could be really good if we can get some good spells going on with it. Looks like our blue's not too bad. Green could be pretty good. That'd be pretty nasty to fog after a Young Pyromancer. We'll see what we go with next one. Alright, so our next rare is each player sacrifices 5 lands and it does 5 damage to each creature. So that's a pretty intense. There's pretty good red. So it's looking at the moment like red's probably going to be a pretty primary color. Green has some options. Blue has some good spell options, especially with the Young Pyromancer. Sign in Blood is pretty strong. Black Knight is pretty strong. But so far black isn't exactly blowing me away. We'll see though what we open. Another Advocate of the Beast. Geas Angel, that's pretty strong. Give another card indestructible, as long as you control that. So there's Sliver. We don't have too many more of those out, so that might not be as effective. Some more blue sorceries and instants. Tormented Soul, but only one of them. Kind of helps when you have more than one, and some enchantments to get them hitting you a little harder. Another Advocate of the Beast. Redirect. That could be good. Shock. Another Shock. Shocks are good. Another Fog. There's a Beast to be able to run Advocate of the Beast if we wanted to run sort of a rug red, green, blue maybe. Sort of looking lightly. Although Sarah Angel's pretty big blowout. But I haven't really hit too much other white. Volcanic Dragon. 4/4 flying for haste. Or 4/4 for 6. Could be much better, but we'll see what we draw in the next pack. Day of Judgment. Now, that doesn't exactly work with our creature format, but another Shock, another Fog, and an Essence Scatter sound pretty good. Condemn. We might be going for a Rug Young Pyromancer type deck. I like the idea of that. Even though we only have one, it'd be nice to pull another one, but don't always get a Molten Birth's pretty good with that. Awaken the Ancient. So red is definitely a primary color. Looks like we have some pretty good options with blue. And then green to sort of fill it out. I actually like that a lot. Alright. Let's get into the deck. Start building a little bit. Alright, so we're going to filter to these to see what we can do. So for sure I want that. Maybe yes. Maybe. Maybe. Earth Servant gets O plus 1 for each mountain you control. That can get pretty big. Volcanic Dragon. Death Touch, Hexproof, Reach, Trample, reveal it. Could be good. Unsummon. Essence Scatter. Does combat damage, draw a card. Yes. 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 +2/+2 and haste. That could be worth it. Like that. We might end up playing a bunch of the beasts. Destroy target land. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. That might be worth it. Bunches of fogs. Oaken form. Couple beasts. So 1, 2. So not enough beasts. Don't really like not having more aggressiveness. Might be worth it just to play this to have. So do I add green is the question. I just don't know if it does enough for me. So go black. What could black do for me? Put target creature from your graveyard into the battlefield. No. Sign in blood, need to be double black. +2/+2 and lifelink. Yeah, I don't really like what the black's doing for me. Day of Judgment. Condemn. It's pretty good. Flying Vigilance. And then have access to So to build a 40 card deck, generally 23 is a pretty good option. It allows you to have about 17 lands. I usually like to run 24 and 16 lands. I feel like that puts me at a pretty good spot. Two haste. Let's see here. What seems good to remove? Destroyer. Let's give that a try. Alright, let's get some land in here. Let's see. So 10 red sources, 10 blue sources, 4 white sources. So let's get that up to 8. Let's get that up to 8. Let's get that up to... Let's do that. The reason why I'm only going with 3, now granted I do have 4 white creatures, but most of them are pretty high up there, and there's a pretty good chance I'm going to get them before I really need, well, I might cut that down to 5, go up to 4 there. Oh, no, didn't save. Four, five. Alright, it says I only have an average deck, but let's see what we can pile this to. Bunch of red early, needs that for sure. Yeah, I like that. Alright, let's play with the deck. See what we do. Johnny Goldmane. See if we can do anything with this deck. Alright, let's see here. So, 2 land. I can unsummon something, and I could possibly do that. Don't really have much of a playable hand. If I draw into another red spell, I have a pretty good chance to get some action with that. But we're going to draw a new hand and see what happens. Alright, slightly more plays, so we'll keep this. In the turn, I will play red for access to shock in case I need it. Ideally, if he plays something that could be pretty strong that turn, I can cast that and then be able to play more on my turn. Because I don't need the double red at the moment and gives access to another removal spell, I'll play blue this turn. Send it back. Be nice if I draw out planes and then draw that, or another mountain, I guess would be fine. Start swinging with 7/7 guy. Seems pretty good. The computer work on what he wants to play. Both these cards are instants, so of course I can play it at any point on his turn. I was actually waiting on myself. Yeah, that's not too bad, and I can always shock it at any point. See what I can pull out of here. Play the double red, so that way next turn I have access to Awaken the Agent if I need to. And I'll end my turn. Reason why I'm not casting shock or unsummon this turn, I can, when he declares attack, I can then do shock at that point. It reveals more. It's the only attack. Since he hadn't played anything else, I'm going to wait. I feel like I can take 2 and not be at such a disadvantage. I have access to see what he plays next, which could possibly be something I'd rather shock instead. Another unsummon. Getting a little flooded out, but not too bad. I'm just a little bit awkward on the type of mana that I need. I feel confident if I can pull another red source, I can get Awaken the Ancient, and that will put me pretty far ahead. Sadly, I need 2 mountains to be able to summon it and then attack the same turn. Didn't play anything else. Another shock. I'll probably shock on his turn, killing it just to stop it from doing damage. It needs me to do stuff. I currently don't have any creatures, so I'll get rid of this. I guess I could have just cast shock then, so that way I didn't have to discard anything. Might have been a small misplay. I will shock it. It's going to prevent all damage that be dealt to you and creatures this turn. Now what I could do is shock again on top of the stack, which would then deal damage, and then save patches would work out, but I'm going to just let it resolve. I might want shock later on. Sentinel Sliver. That would have been nice last turn. Well, I'm not doing very well. Shock it before the angel resolves. Because I could have essence scattered that. Probably would have been the better play. I will play Archaeomancer. Give me something to block with. I will get back Shock. Hit for 7, go down to 5. Things are looking a little bit down. I do have access to be able to unsummon the angel, and then when he tries to summon it again, scatter it, or counter it at that point. Which it looks like I could unsummon and be able to shock. I believe that's what I will do. I'll wait on his turn. One more mana, I can do that. That might be worth it. I think the life does more for me at the moment. I will chump in front of it just to keep me at a little healthier life total. Probably play the angel now. I will essence scatter it. Counter it completely. It doesn't come into the field and it doesn't activate his ability. That is a plains. That means I can play the Healer of the Pride and have a healthy blocker to be able to stop the 2/4 from coming in. And Johnny only has one card in his hand. I may have just stabilized, but we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. Especially when they pacify. He'll hit me for 2. I'm thinking I'm going to unsummon my Healer of the Pride. That will remove the Pillar-Filled Ox from the battlefield, or remove pacifism. And then I can resummon it if I don't draw out the mountain next turn. Yes. That turned out to be a pretty good play. Now the switcheroo is going to be pretty good. If they ever throw down a big bomb, I can switch the control. I can exchange my healer for their card. Especially if it's a giant angel or something. Alright, there is my mountain. I'm going to go ahead and get out the ancient. He'll be tapped because I had to tap one of those fountains, but it will allow me to start swinging for damage next turn. It's going to be pretty hard for him to... Wow. Wow. Seems like a pretty good card. And there's lethal damage, I believe, or 2 turns at least. And that will not help me. When he attacks, he gets +1, so he's a 3/3 when he attacks. So that is game. Well, turns out I suck at deck building and playing. A lot of limited comes about dealing with your opening hand and deciding whether or not it's a keepable hand or not. So we will go back to the sealed campaign. We will go back to deck manager. Now, one thing about the sealed play campaign that's nice is it does allow you to change your deck up if you would like. I will probably go ahead and completely change my deck, play around with some of the other more aggro-y type of decks that I can maybe pull out of the cards that I pulled. And next time on the sealed deck part of my Magic 2014 series, I will attempt to beat the first boss.